Hi, my name is Allison Colton. I'm a CPA. I've been in public practice for most of my career, which we won't talk about how long that is at this point. It's been a while. Over the years, I've worked with lots of business owners, and I really love helping them solve problems and make progress towards their goals. So that's what we're here to talk about overall today. Of course, the first step in moving towards your goals is knowing what those goals actually are. So that's really what we're here to talk about today, how to complete a SWOT analysis, and then how to use the results from that SWOT analysis to set some meaningful strategic goals. So this is just a brief outline of what we're going to talk about today. I'll give you an introduction to myself and On-Site Advisory and KWB for those of you that don't know who we are. And then I'll give you a chance quickly to give me a brief introduction of yourself, what you do, what you're hoping to take away from today. And then we'll talk about briefly the difference between working in and working on your business. We'll spend some time on SWOT analysis, what it is, why it's important, and then how to determine each piece, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We'll work through a bit of this together, and hopefully you received the documents that Samantha emailed out earlier today that will give you a chance to work on this on your own. And then we'll learn more about strategic goals, what they are, why they're important, and then how to use the results of your SWOT analysis to translate those into some really meaningful strategic goals. And then we'll talk about what now? Once you're done that whole process, what's the next steps and how often do you need to revisit the process, repeat, and measure yourself against your goals? And at the end, of course, we'll have plenty of time for questions. I imagine that this may not take the full 90 minutes with a small group like this, so we should have plenty of time at the end for questions. And we can definitely talk about any individual scenarios or questions that you have as well. So quick introduction to KWB, Accountants and Advisors. For those of you that haven't heard of us, I know Kim has for sure. She's pretty familiar with us. So we're a CPA firm serving small to medium business clients for 28 years in the Edmonton area. So we are located in the Edmonton area, but we work with clients across Canada. We really embrace technology, things like Zoom, and we have, I would say, pretty close to 100% paperless office. So we're really comfortable working remotely and digitally with our clients. Our mission at KWB is to provide you with great advice that improves your business, simplifies your accounting experience, and helps you reach your goals. So over the years, all of us here at KWB have worked with many different types of business owners, and we've found overwhelmingly, again and again, the repeating chorus from all of them is that they really need support that goes beyond helping them at year-end time with their compliance and tax needs. So with that in mind, and the help of our cloud-based accounting tools like Dext and QuickBooks Online, we've developed a collection of services that can help business owners to utilize that financial information, not only to report on the past, but really to help them make better business decisions every day and be using that information in real time. And so that's what On-Site Advisory is in a nutshell. At On-Site Advisory, we help you shift the focus from working in your business to working on your business. And this allows you to focus on the future and be more strategic about running your business. So I mentioned briefly working in your business versus working on your business. So wanted to kind of circle back and talk about what the distinction is there. So when you're working in your business, you're working on the day-to-day operational tasks and activities that are necessary to keep the wheels turning and everything running smoothly. So this involves things like serving customers, managing employees, administrative tasks, and so on. When you're in your business, you're primarily focused on the immediate tasks at hand and generating income for the present. So you're working on today's income. When you're working on your business, You are taking a step back from those day-to-day operations and you're focusing on strategic planning, growth, and long-term development. So this involves analyzing the overall direction of your business, setting goals, refining processes, improving systems, and implementing strategies to position your business for future success. When you're working on your business, you're focused on building a sustainable and profitable enterprise that generates income not just today, but also into the future. So you're working on tomorrow's income. Both of these types of work are really important and vital to the success of your business. So don't think of it as good work versus bad work. But the day-to-day tasks of working in your business are a lot easier to delegate to others than the more strategic tasks of working on your business. Because these things are almost impossible to hand off to anyone that's not immediately involved in the decision-making in your business, you really these need to be done by you or somebody in your high-level management team or partnership team. And so therefore, they really need to get onto your priority list and come to the top at some point in some sort of regular manner. So it's really important to get into a regular rhythm for focusing on this type of work. So with that, I'm going to hopefully open up my first poll. So let me know what your right now, what is your rhythm for working on your business? Oh, all three of them went up at once. That's fine. You can answer all three.
Can I chime in?
Sure.
Like, what if I work on the business on a daily basis?
Daily is also an option, yeah. So it should have been monthly or more.
Okay.
Because definitely that's going to be, and we just had to throw these polls together because I had them done on my side and then they weren't coming up. So I did have that in my original options. So you would say daily then. I love it. That's awesome. All right. So we have 3 monthlies and 1 daily. All right. So what's the right rhythm is always the question I get at this point. And there is no one right answer, right? It's just about having a rhythm and getting into the habit of doing it. Obviously, more often is going to be better. Like you said, Bob, if that is your main role in your business, you're probably going to be doing it daily or at least weekly. If you're a startup and just kind of getting going, you might do it once a year. A lot of entrepreneurs kind of do it never or whenever they think about it. So routine is the first key, and then as much as possible is the second key. Most of our clients, we suggest at least monthly, and it doesn't have to be a long period of time monthly. Like you don't have to dedicate a whole week, a month to this. You could dedicate an afternoon or a couple hours where you're going to run your numbers, look at your reports, think about what they mean, have a conversation with someone, whether that be us or a business partner or another trusted person that you want to bounce things off of. The magic happens in the conversations. So just make sure that you're looking, thinking, and talking about it with someone. So, as I said, working on your business is all about making progress towards your goals. And in order to know where you're going, you got to know what those goals are in the first place. So the first step in setting meaningful goals is to really do an honest assessment of where your business is today, so that you know where you are, and then you can decide where you want to go. So a SWOT analysis is a really helpful tool to begin this process. SWOT stands for, of course, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So a SWOT analysis, it's just a framework that can paint a larger picture of where you are today and what next steps are available to you. And you can do this for your business as a whole, or you can even bring it down a level and look at it by team or by project or by department within your organization. Once you've gone through this process, you can then use the results in your future planning and when you're setting up the roadmap for your business. So why is a SWOT analysis a good starting point? So like I said, a SWOT analysis is a framework, and it can help you to assess where your business is today in a competitive market, help you understand the internal and external factors that can have positive and negative effects on your business. It can bring up some new, fresh perspectives and new ideas. Like I said, the magic is in the discussion. So this is a brainstorming process. You might have a few new things that you may not have thought of come up in the process. And there's really little cost to doing this. It's mostly a time investment. It can be a quick process or it can be a longer process. You can really customize it to what you have available to you. So the first thing you need to determine when you're going to start working on a SWOT analysis is who do you want in the room with you? So of course, today we're a group of business owners and business advisors. If you were doing a dedicated SWOT analysis on your business, you would want to gather a room full of trusted people. So that could be your business partners, key management. You might want to bring some key employees in on the conversation, any mentors you have out there, maybe your spouse, other trusted family members, or friends. The more diverse this group of people is at the table, the more you're going to get out of the exercise, because like I said, it's all about brainstorming and having new ideas come up. So today we're going to brainstorm together a little bit. You can feel free to share as much or as little as you're comfortable about your individual business. But we're going to just lean into that diversity a little bit and hopefully have a safe space for everyone. And then you can take what we discussed today away and continue that process on your own or with your own group of people for your specific business.
That's an aha moment for me already, because I had thought doing a SWOT analysis was something I'd do myself, where you're suggesting bring in a mentorship group or others or management or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly something that you can do on your own. Often people do. But like I said, the magic that kind of happens sometimes is that someone might bring up an idea and maybe even challenge you a little bit, right? And just get your brain thinking in a different direction.
Oh, I now see the value in it for sure.
Mm-hmm. So once you've determined who is going to be in that room, you're ready to start. And this is what the process looks like. So it's not a linear process. You're going to go around in circles. You might feel like you're going in a loop for a little while, but that's how it's supposed to be. So you can continue going around in this loop until you're happy, right? You can just keep repeating the process until you're feeling satisfied. Then you're going to step out of the loop, take action, and set yourself some kind of timeline of when you're going to come back and measure your results at the end. So the first step here is to brainstorm. Couple notes when you're doing the brainstorming process. Have someone taking notes, write things down, because you just need to get it all out sometimes. Don't leave anything out. There's no bad ideas. Challenge each other and ask questions. So jumping into the pieces of the SWOT analysis, strengths and weaknesses. So these are your internal factors. So these are things that are going on inside the house. They are things that you have some level of control over. No, you might not completely control them, but you do have some influence over them. Of course, strengths are positive things. Weaknesses are negative things.
Mm-hmm.
So for strengths, think of things like a strong brand image, a loyal customer base, or a unique technology or process. Weaknesses might be things like, we don't have a strong sales team, or I'm not very naturally well organized with my records. But don't just think about like character flaws here. Think about things that you just may not know what you don't know, right? You don't have any experience in sales, so you're not that good at it yet. Maybe you need to go out and outsource that. Or you just might not have the time to devote to sales. That is always one of the big things for people that are running businesses. Time is money. So,
yeah. And there's also like, there's sometimes when you identify a strength, there's like a parallel to that as well. So for example, I just did a SWOT analysis with a client where one of their strengths was they had a strong reputation in their community and strong presence and word of mouth. Which was fantastic, but that was the limiter for them as well, because they had no marketing or brand awareness. They didn't have a website. So they were very, very reliant on that word of mouth in order for them to communicate who they were to the community and what services they provided. And so even though they identified that as a strength, they're like, you know what, we're really strong presence, and we've been around for 20 years and everybody knows who we are. But it was very limiting, and that was coming from the word of mouth of other people, and that they weren't able to direct that conversation or direct any strategic marketing out of that at all.
right. That makes sense. So when you're thinking about your strengths and weaknesses, it can be helpful sometimes to think about your business from other people's perspective. So think about, kind of take a step back from your seat as the owner, operator, controller of the business, and step into your customer's shoes or step into your employees' shoes and think about what your strengths and weaknesses are from their perspective. That can be really helpful to kind of get the wheels turning. As well, you can look at your KPIs, you can look at your numbers to figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are and do some benchmarking against similar companies, maybe some of your competitors, and that type of thing can be helpful in this case too. So here are just some questions to get your mind thinking, strengths, weaknesses, and what those are exactly. So strengths, what do you do well? What unique skills or services do you offer? What experiences do you have that sets you apart from others? What do you do better than your competitor? And where are you most profitable and why? Weaknesses, the other side of the coin. Where do you have room to improve? What aspects of your business could hinder your progress? What skills or resources are you lacking? What is costing you money? And is there anything you feel like you're failing at? I know that one common strength that I hear from a lot of people is what Shelley had just mentioned before, is reputation or past customers being happy, kind of having happy customers out there, or good reputation in the community would be one that I would say is fairly common for a strength.
Are you looking for, I'm just trying to, like, the company as a global?
Yeah, so overall, for your company or your business.
There's really no wrong answer, right?
There's no wrong answer, no.
Yeah.
And I mean, business reputation could be a weakness as well, right? If you're struggling in that area, hopefully it's not. But,
yeah. If you got 2 Google stars out of 5, it's not strong.
And then the key here is that it's things that you have control over.
Team culture, that's a good
It's
one.
very little.
I'm reading your mind here, Kim.
Does that work?
It did, yeah. I see team culture, so that's a really good
Well,
one.
it's very little, so it's hard to
Yeah, so team culture is important. Again, it could be a strength or a weakness, right? If you're struggling with that, it could be a weakness that you have a weak team culture. Experience, yeah, so that's another big one. Many clients say, you know, I've been doing this for 30 years and I know what I'm doing. So that's a good one.
Do this.
Okay, so I'm seeing valued employees and long-term staff. So yeah, that's definitely a strength. Having a strong team in place that feels valued and is happy working for you, that's a huge strength, right?
Yep.
One of the big thing that we see over and over again is people struggling to recruit and then retain quality people for their team.
Yeah. Well, that's been a huge theme in the clients I've been working with, is that there's a big fear about the labor market and having
Yeah.
a skill set that they need, and how do you retain what you have, right? So really understanding that a lot of businesses are running pretty lean as far as capacity, and losing one or two key people can have a pretty significant impact on business operations as a whole.
Yep.
So that becomes, you know, a pretty high priority on their radar to ensure that that's, you know, they're, you know, and that's what comes down to like team culture as well, right? So all those little soft things that help you to, you know, keep those key individuals on your team are really important.
Yeah. So process, policy, and procedures. Yeah. So by that, I'm assuming you mean that you don't have them well documented and well
Correct.
standardized across your business.
Yeah, we've grown from myself, like I said, many years ago to today. I think we got 18 staff members. And I
Okay.
come from a engineering construction background, not a HR policy writing booklet background.
One of the other ones that comes up quite often in weaknesses, and I'm not sure if this applies to either of you, but is both the team at capacity, right? So just not being able to grow because of the capacity, and also lacking skill overlap. So there's not as much, you don't have as many people that are flexible within positions to be able to, you know, fill those gaps when they are identified. And that just comes all to like, you know, the balance between running a team that is big enough, but not too big, and then being able to be flexible for those opportunities, or being able to take advantage of opportunities when they come forward.
Yeah, for sure. You're always in that spot. Well, many people are in that spot where they're like, I just about need someone, but I'm not sure I can keep a whole person busy. And you just got to take that leap at some point. Yeah. So long-term key staff retiring in the near future can be, that could be a threat as well, because you don't really have control, but you kind of do, because you can plan for it and bring new team members on. So that could, I could go either way for that one.
Yeah.
For sure. So staff turnover in general, right? Like they could be leaving for any number of reasons, but
yeah. Another one that comes up as well is ownership or management working in the business too much. So not being able to delegate those tasks to free up time to work on the business. So it's being able to shift to strategic planning, and having the right people in place to allow that to happen.
So moving on then to opportunities and threats. So where strengths and weaknesses are internal and you have some control, opportunities and threats are external and you have very little control. But there's still things that are affecting your business. So we definitely want to be aware of them, because if you're not aware of them, you can't take advantage or prepare for them. So opportunities, of course, are positive things that are there and available to be used by you and your business. If you're not aware of these, they're going to pass you by. Threats are the other side of the coin again, negatively affect your business. Again, if you're not aware of them, you can't plan or try to maneuver as best you can around them. So when we're thinking opportunities, this is things like market upswings, maybe the higher interest rates benefit your business that we're seeing right now, industry trends, societal issues at large, those kind of things. Threats, again, are the negative side of that coin. So the pandemic was a big one. That was a huge threat for almost everybody. There was nothing anyone could do about it. We were just left dealing with it. The economy slowdown, maybe gas prices going way hitting the roof are a huge threat to your business and that kind of thing. So when we're thinking opportunities and threats, it helps to think about them in the terms of these concentric circles. So starting at the outermost circle, we have our mega trends. So that's where the pandemic would fall into. It affected almost everyone in one way or another. For some, it wasn't actually an opportunity. If you were selling hand sanitizer or face masks, it was a huge opportunity. Most of us, it was a huge threat. Then coming one level in is what's going on inside your industry and your little piece of the world. Then one step in, what's going on within your local market. So within Edmonton, what's happening in the Edmonton area. And then in the middle is what's going on with you and your direct competitors. So thinking about it that way can kind of help compartmentalize some of this stuff. One of the things to be aware of, and we've already seen this here, it's easy to mistake a weakness for an opportunity. So the key there is, do you have control over it or not, right? So sometimes you think it's a weakness, but I'm going to flip it into an opportunity. But if you have control over that, that belongs in the weakness category. And the distinction here is going to become a little bit important when we're using the results to flip into our goals. But just keep that in mind for now. So here's, again, some questions to help you think about these opportunities. What external conditions can help you achieve your goals? Are there new audiences that you could be reaching? Is there a new technology that you could utilize in your business? Can you do more for your existing customers? How or where could you expand your business? Threats. What external conditions can damage your progress? What are your competitors doing better than what you're doing? What's going on in your industry? What's happening in the economy at large? Is your target audience shrinking or growing? So shrinking would probably be a threat. Growth would probably be an opportunity. So a late start to your summer. Yeah. How about any opportunities? Can you guys think of any out there right now that are
Well, something for my industry that's exploding is the multifamily developments.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
there we
Another
go.
strength sometimes can be the number of competitors you have in your space, right? So are there a lot of players doing the same thing that you guys do? You know, are you really fighting tooth and nail with maybe there's 50 blind companies in Sherwood Park? There isn't, but if there were, that would be a bit of a struggle. Maybe if you have a small key number of competitors, but you really differentiate between, you know, maybe you're the only guy that does commercial and residential, for example. Those are all things that can help to set your businesses apart. Yeah.
I would put that in opportunities and threats, just because you don't have a lot of control over how many competitors are out there, but yeah. All right, so you get the gist. So as you're brainstorming here, you're going to start to see some themes pop out. Generally, you're going to start to kind of see different themes will pop out and you'll see, oh, this is where I need to focus. Like it's just going to kind of materialize in front of your face and you're going to be like, okay, now things like the fog is starting to clear a little bit and I am seeing what the path forward needs to be. Now, so once you're done, like I said, themes are going to start to pop out. You're going to process your results at that point. Once you have your initial brainstorming done and you have everything up on the board or onto the paper, you're gonna identify your themes, summarize your results. You might have 3 or 4 points that are can be combined into one subject. Circle back, like I said, and revisit that brainstorming process as often as you want. Some people like to kind of walk away for a couple days, come back and do another brainstorming session. Your brain is wonderful and it will be working in the background while you're doing other things. And that can sometimes be helpful as well. I have a quick example here. So this is a SWOT analysis that I did with some clients in the past. And this is kind of the end result of that process. So the strengths of this business was that they were really service focused. They had a strong team in place with a lot of training, lots of experience on the management team, and a really strong brand image. Weaknesses were that they had a fairly lean staff, so they didn't have a lot of extra coverage, like Shelley was talking about. Sometimes the only person that knew how to do something was the one guy. And if the one guy didn't show up for work, it was a problem. The owners were starting to think about maybe planning for a retirement and what that would look like. The owners admitted one of their weaknesses was that they could be sometimes overly optimistic and have rose-colored glasses on sometimes, which can bite them sometimes. And they had no dedicated salesperson on their team, so they considered that a weakness as well. Opportunities were there was a new technology available for them to utilize in their operations. They had the opportunity available to focus on residential services. This was mainly a commercial business. They had employees in-house that were looking for advancement. And they had the opportunity to focus on sales. So that was available to them. Threats were that they were working in a tough labor market and that the growth in the business was slowing due to the economic slowdown that was happening. So from here, we can move on to strategic goals. So once you've completed that SWOT analysis, you're now in a really good position to start to set some really meaningful strategic goals for your business. Strategic goal setting is, like I said at the beginning, one of the most important things you can do to work on your business. If you don't know where you want to get to, it's really hard to plan how you're going to get there. So strategic goals are long-term objectives that focus on the big picture. They focus more on where you want to go rather than the details of how you're going to get there. Goals can then be further segmented into shorter timelines by division or even by individual team members. Your goals should always be SMART, and we'll talk about what that means in a minute. And they should have quantifiable or qualitative results so that you can measure your progress towards them. So why are business goals so important? Like I said, if you don't know where you're going to go or where you want to go, you have no idea how to get there. You'll just kind of be throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. Once they're in place, they're really going to define what your priorities are in the business, not only for yourself, but also for your team. It's going to keep all of your team members on the same page, pulling on the rope in the same direction, and just give them that guidance about where it is you're trying to go. So it gives them that clear understanding. It's going to provide you a really meaningful way to measure your success over time. And ensure that you're on the right path and that you're staying on the right path. And when you do inevitably wander off the path a little bit, you have a clear way to get back on. So like I said, when we're talking about strategic goals, it's important to focus on the big picture. We don't want to get too caught up, especially in the beginning, talking about the tactics or the how of how am I going to get there. So kind of think especially at the beginning of this process, think big picture, think if time and money were not an object, of course they are, but just kind of put that to the side for the moment and say, where would I be if in a perfect world, where would I be in 3 to 5 years? And that is what you want to set as your goal. And then once you've got your longer term goals set, you can take a step back and then do a shorter term goal to help get you there with a 1 to 2 year timeline. And then once you have those goals in place, then you can start talking about tactics and the how of how am I going to get there? Because of course you want your goals to be realistic. So that leads me to what is a SMART goal? So SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So specific, you want not just to improve business, but you want to improve sales and net profit. That's more specific. You want it to be measurable. So I don't want to just improve sales and net profit. I want to improve sales by 15% and net profit by 10% or something to that effect. Attainable. You don't want to increase sales by 200% in the next year, because that's probably a little bit, I mean, unless you have a business that's growing at that rate, it's a little bit unattainable. So you want to keep it realistic, attainable, and relevant to your business. So you don't want to set a goal that is off in left field and really has nothing to do with your business and what you're doing every day. And then you also want to have a time-based component to your goal. So a goal post for yourself, I want to do this within 3 years so that you know when you're going to come back and assess your progress and monitor success, failure, or somewhere in between. So circling back to the SWOT analysis, this is a guideline of how we're going to use your SWOT analysis to translate into some goals. So your strengths, that is your source of competitive advantage. If you've got something that's showing up in your strengths and you don't already consider it a source of competitive advantage, then you can set a goal around that, right? You want to make that your competitive advantage. Usually that's already in place. Weaknesses, those are going to be your operational goals. So these are things that you have control over. You can set a goal. I need to hire a salesperson by the end of the year. I need to focus on documenting my policies and procedures by X date. Opportunities, these are going to be your growth goals. So these are things that you can grow into, take advantage of over the next certain number of years. And your threats are things to watch. So these two, your opportunities and weaknesses, are going to be where your goals really come out of. So again, back to that same example that we already visited. The themes kind of popped out from here. I've highlighted or bolded the ones that the team decided to focus on. So they wanted to focus on their team, the fact that they already have a strong team in place with lots of training. They also have a lean staff and owners that are starting to think about retirement. So that was kind of theme number one, was their team overall. What do we want to do for our team in the coming years? No dedicated salesperson was fairly low-hanging fruit. We can do something about that. We just need to do it, right? Dedicate some time to recruiting the right person and getting that person in place. Also, the new technology for operations that was available, it was a fairly easy fix. We can set a goal around that. And then we just want to keep our eye on the labor market. That is going to affect our goal with our team, our goals that we're going to set for our team. And we want to keep our eye on that. So moving from there into some goals. So topic number 1 was the team overall. So they set a long-term goal of bringing in some sort of next generation co-owner within the next 5 years. So they wanted to kind of start turning their minds to what that might look like. They did identify that they had some key team members on their team already that were looking for advancement and more opportunity. So the short-term goal was to promote from within, and have someone in place in a key management position by the end of that year. And then the tactics around this, where they were going to start kind of brainstorming amongst themselves, make a short list of qualified staff members, start to have some of those discussions with their management about the ownership opportunity, and then put a call into their lawyer to discuss some contracts that might need to get in place to support this process. For the focus on sales, they set a goal of having an increase in sales of 50% within 3 years. In order to accomplish this, in the short term, they're going to hire a dedicated salesperson by the end of the current fiscal year. And the tactics around that, of course, are advertising the position as available, building a competitive compensation program for that person, and another call to the lawyer to help draw the contracts up. The technology goal, they didn't feel that they needed a long-term goal for this one. They felt that it was attainable in the short term. So they set a goal to implement a piece of software called Jobber by the end of that fiscal year. And they were going to talk to us to help them with that. So like I said before, this is not a linear process. It's going to be a lot of looping around in a circle. Follow up, repeat. Again, a lot of times at this point, I get the question, how often? How often should I be following up and repeating? So again, the answer is there's no one right answer. You're going to know what your timelines are based on the timelines that you've attached to your goals for sure. And that's kind of a minimum. You're going to want to, if you've set a goal to be somewhere by the end of 3 years, you're going to want to circle back at the end of that 3-year period and assess your progress. But I would argue that it's also important to follow up a few times in between there. So at least annually, probably more like quarterly would be best practice, to see how you're doing. Are you going in the right direction? Have you gone way off the path? Do we need to reassess the situation? So in general, I say you're going to want to follow up on this process at least annually. Quarterly is better, and even monthly. If you're in a period of, I want to grow fast, I want to get from A to B, and I want to make some progress, you're going to want to be paying attention to it on a regular basis. So then once you have your goals in place, what is next? There's a number of things that you can do at this point to monitor your progress towards your goals and ensure that you're staying on that path that you've set for yourself. We help many clients with building what we call a business roadmap through budgeting and forecasting, so that you can so you know where you want to be, you've got an idea of how you're going to try and get there. And now we want to build out the numbers around that so that you have something to measure your financial results against each period, whatever that period is for you, whether it's monthly, quarterly, semi, and don't go less than quarterly. Let's just leave it there. We can also, in that process of building out those budgets and forecasts, we can do some scenario analysis with you. So we can do best case versus worst case scenarios, or we're going to buy some equipment. We don't know exactly what the right timing to do that would be. So we're going to crunch some numbers and move that timeline around a little bit and see when the right time is to pull the trigger on that transaction. So walking through those different scenarios to determine the best path forward. Also, we can help with optimizing workflows. So looking at your workflows that you currently have in place, processes, procedures, sometimes it can just help to have a fresh set of eyes on this on the situation. And this is something that Shelley is awesome at. Walking through, documenting some of your workflows, and then suggesting some improvements. Looking at profit improvement. So profit improvement is not always as simple as I just need to make more money, right? Maybe you need to increase your volume. Maybe you need to increase your pricing. Maybe you need to do a combination of that to create the best results. So we can help with running some of those numbers to help you decide what the best plan of action is there. And then, of course, monitoring your cash flows is always a key. You can definitely be profitable and cash negative, which is a stressful situation to be in and a frustrating situation to be in. So we can help in that department as well. And then just overall, and this is a blanket statement, just paying attention to your financial reporting and looking at it, getting familiar with it. And we can help with that as well, and presenting that information in a little bit more interesting way than just a page full of numbers. So I have some examples for you here. So once a budget has been set, we can help track and monitor your progress. So the blue line is the actuals and the gray line is the budget. So for this company, they thought they were going to be up here at about $200,000 in net income after the first couple months in their year. Things went off the rails a little bit for them in the spring in this year. And they realized it and got back on track by the end of summer, or by midsummer, I guess. And then this is forecasting. So this report was done in July and showing kind of they were back on track at this point, and the program will project out for the rest of the year based on the budget. It's good to know if you're off track before it's too late to do anything about.
Was this compared to a previous year?
We can, yes. This specific one does not. But we certainly can. We could pull a third line in here and show you what happened last year so that you could compare it as well. Oh, my mouse isn't cooperating with me now. Here we are. So here's the scenario where this business is considering purchasing some new equipment for their business, hiring a new person. I think this business was a restaurant. So they were considering hiring a new delivery driver, purchasing some new kitchen equipment, and undertaking a marketing campaign. So we can then kind of pull these boxes around, play with the timing, and see in real time what that does to the numbers. Excuse me. So again, scenario analysis. This is historical gross profit. Business as usual is the purple line. So this is what we project is going to happen if we continue on the path we've been on. And this line is what we think is going to happen if we make some operational changes. So I think this was the same business as the last, the restaurant. So if they do the marketing campaign, hire the delivery driver and the new equipment to speed up their production, they're going to end by Q4 of 2024 about just over 100 or just over $50,000 above where they would if they stayed on the path. And then here's the goal seek function that we can help with. So like I mentioned, do we need to increase price? Do we need to increase volume? Do we need to save on some fixed costs or variable costs? We can play with all those factors to increase our profits from a loss of $14,000 to a profit of $10,000. And the program will tell us, well, you can do it right away by increasing your price 8.5%. The owners might say, no, I don't want to do that. That's going to scare too many of my customers away. I can do 5% at the most. Okay, well, what else do we have to do to get us there? So I've given you some ideas of how we can help. Overall, we can talk to you. Like I always say, the magic is in the conversation. So some of the things that we have talked about today, we can have these conversations with you on a somewhat regular basis, help you make the commitment to working on your business in a regular sort of fashion. We can provide guidance, a little bit of independence that can help sometimes to take a step back and not have somebody not have so much skin in the game. We have a lot of experience. We can, like I said, help you with that accountability piece. And we can just help you take action at the end of the day.